Our next guest is writer and broadcaster Esther Krakue. Esther, fabulous to have you back. And look, while the royal family is an old and what seems like sometimes an immovable institution, it also tends to be dynamic in quite a number of ways. Look, we've spoken before about how Kate is growing into her senior royal role and the sense of duty that accompanies it. It hasn't gone unnoticed, has it?
It definitely hasn't. Princess Catherine has effectively become the main ambassador for the royal family. One of the things that has made the royal family so durable over the years is their ability to adapt and to understand the times that they're in and to really take sort of social cues from the environment. And, nobody embodies this better than Princess Kate. There are reports that she actually had a hand in the family's strategy and dealing with, the Sussexes after the Oprah interview aired. And she was allegedly the one that added the line, recollections may vary, which is a very subtle hint that the public shouldn't believe everything or take at face value everything that the Sussexes claimed in that Oprah interview. But Princess Catherine has championed, causes like the early years and addiction. And she's really been a face of the royal family in a way that, people have compared her to the Queen, because she really has understood how to be an ambassador without being, tacky or crass or making it about herself. She really understands, the institution and the sense of duty and service that you have to be a working royal, especially someone with the status that she does. And, people are looking forward to her and her husband eventually becoming king and queen of this country.
And as a corollary to that, there have been reports this week that Harry is no fan of celebrity life. Now, duty and celebrity are really different things, so this, in a sense, doesn't really surprise me.
It doesn't. And I mean, that's why his sort of antics over the last couple of years have been quite surprising, because he's effectively wedged himself firmly in the celebrity camp, even though he said, his place is to serve and he's all about duty. And that's something that he's taken out of being a working royal for so many years. But clearly he's not very comfortable in the spotlight, mainly because, like I said, the members of the royal family aren't celebrities. So he actually didn't grow up in that celebrity culture, even though he's a well-known figure. Unlike in the US, where you have, people that become socialites effectively, like the Kardashians, who are famous for being famous. I don't think that's something that really appealed to him. The problem he now has is because he's firmed himself he's wedged himself so firmly in that camp. The question is, how can he actually now get out of it? He's done the Netflix documentary and the book and, the Oprah interview and all of these exposés that he feels was just to tell his side of the story. But because he's done it in a way that's ill-advised, I would say, to put it very kindly, it's really going to be interesting to see how he gets himself out of that celebrity camp, because, again, he really has nothing much to offer. And that was one of the blessings of him being in the royal family, being, in the army, and having these causes that he championed. People took him more seriously. But when you do the kind of things that he's done over the last few years, and now he's saying, I'm not comfortable being a celebrity, I'm going to be about duty and service, people are going to question duty and service to whom? Because it looks like you've just been doing that for yourself in the last few years. And he's really distanced himself from what his role as a working royal was meant to be.
Now, King Charles and Queen Camilla, they were in Scotland this week for their Scottish coronation, but not everyone was happy for them to be there, were they?
No, I mean, anti-monarchists are nothing new. Even during the King's coronation back in May, there were protests that were protesting, the very existence of the monarchy. This week, the King has been in Scotland just to receive the Scottish crown jewels as part of the Scottish coronation, and the same sort of hubbub has risen again with his presence being there. There are people that will always not like the existence of the monarchy. I think, you never really have Republicans being more than, I suppose, at any given time, more than 20% of the population. But they do exist, and that's the beauty of living in a country where people can express their views. They are allowed to do that. But I think the reality is they know that the overwhelming majority of people still support the monarchy and the institution of the royal family because of all the things that it brings to this country. And I do think we often have to remember that. Sometimes we can get distracted, or it seems like there is more of a fuss than there actually is. But the reality is the overwhelming majority of people are still in support of the royal family.
It feels like there's this continuing angst, I suppose, between Scotland and being part of the Union. Can that subside with anything less than independence? And does the monarchy fuel it in any way?
So the issue of Scottish independence is a very it's a very new invention, and it really over the last few months, especially with the resignation of Nicola Sturgeon, the Scottish independence movement has really had to find its voice once again, and it was really had to do a rebrand. It was effectively playing on a lot of the discontents of people up north. But the reality is, once dynamics change, so do people's feelings. I mean, if you go up to Scotland, you don't really see that much of a difference between other parts of the Union, other than the fact that they have distinct cultural variations. But that doesn't make them separate from the UK. That makes them a part of it. I don't know if the royal family is going to go a long way in remedying that. I would suspect it's more the day-to-day politics and the influential politicians that would probably play a more significant role in that. But the reality is, the king is not just the King of England; he's also the King of Scotland, and the royal family still has its duties and roles to play in that part of the country, and so it'll just keep on keeping on.